What's going on, all my fantasy basketball fans out there? Welcome to the Score Fantasy Basketball Podcast. It's Waiver Wire Queen. Today, I'm going to talk about injuries around the NBA and how this may impact your fantasy basketball team. So make sure you hit that like button so you can see more videos like this and subscribe to the channel to make sure that you are connected to the podcast so you can get your daily updates so you can stay ahead of your competition in fantasy basketball. All right, y'all, let's get right into it. So, obviously, there are several injuries around the league. I mean, gracious. And some of these injuries are obviously major injuries because they are hurting our team because these guys are not available. Obviously, health is well. Availability is just as important as anything, if not the most important thing for your fantasy basketball team. I don't care who it is. If you have a guy who's averaging 22, 23 points per game, 7, 8 rebounds, and he is unavailable, that's not going to help. Okay, that's going to hurt your team, and obviously you'll have to make adjustments and find other players who may be able to help your team until those players come off of IL. I have a video coming out later on this week, Saturday to be exact, with some great players you can pick up via the waiver wire to help you with all of these injuries going on in fantasy basketball. So let's talk about some of these injuries. Wendell Carter, it's no surprise he's on this list. Obviously, I'm a big Chicago Bulls fan, so you already know that I know all about Wendell Carter being hurt. Yes, I always felt like Wendell Carter had a lot of talent, but it's just he can never stay on the court long enough to grow that talent and show everybody that he's not a bust and he's capable of putting together a season with more than 70 games, which he's simply unable to do. He was traded, obviously, last season from Chicago to Orlando. They are playing him at the four slot a bit, 4 or 5, doing a little bit of both. He had a left eye abrasion. Sounds very painful. Probably most likely got poked or elbow in the eye. Serious injuries, gonna end up missing some time. What was Carter doing? He was playing really good basketball. He was obviously averaging a double double and shooting at a high rate. So this hurts your fantasy basketball team. I have Carter in the league, and yeah, I'm still feeling like the Bulls ties are there, which is why I drafted him because I thought he was really good and he was playing well, but the injury, so he's gonna miss time. He's already missed time, and you're gonna have to plan accordingly. So he was averaging 13.7 points and 10.7 rebounds and shooting at a really high percentage, which you want from your center, pretty much. And that's what he was doing for your team. So if you have um, Carter, you obviously want to make sure you do not have him in your starting lineup. Hopefully, your commissioner is great and dope like me, waiver wire queen, and has a IL slot for you to insert. Guy like Wendell Carter, who is going to be unavailable to your team for a certain amount of time because of this eye injury. Let's talk about Brandon Ingram. He is on IL with a hip injury. He was averaging 25 points, 7.3 rebounds. He obviously, right now, was the best player on the court for the Pelicans because Zion hasn't played yet this season. Unfortunately, he has a hip injury, so he's on IL and he's missing some time. I actually have him in the league as well. And the Pelicans are in trouble. They have a what 1-10 record. I mean, damn. Yeah, they very much mismanaged the whole Zion draft and the off season, which they were supposed to bring in players to help um, Zion and pretty much build around Zion because they didn't want Lonzo, and I'm glad that he's with my Bulls and we're doing the damn thing. So, again, thank you Pelicans for uh, helping the Bulls secure Lonzo Ball. But nonetheless, right now they're without their top two players, and Ingram is out. Don't know how much time's gonna maybe be out another week or two. Don't know, but hopefully he's able to return because 25 and 7 is a lot of fantasy points to be missing out on. Plus, he's going to shoot a really good percentage from the field. It's not going to give you much on a defensive end, but nonetheless, what you need, especially in a points based league, is the points. And 25.7 rebounds is a lot of points to be missing. So you're going to have to plan accordingly. Again, I do have a video coming out on Saturday with some great options to consider adding via the waiver wire to help with these injuries because it's several. Tyrese Halliburton, guard with the Sacramento Kings. So he is out. Um, Buddy Hield right now is filling in nicely for him. With Hield, you're obviously only going to get points. Halliburton is one of those guys I had on my list as a breakout player. He was pretty much playing very well. Um, Unfortunately, left the game with back tightness. This may not be something long term, but with back injuries, they're very difficult to play through, especially with basketball. So you have to be careful with those. So let's see if he's going to miss any more games. He may not. Nonetheless, this is an injury that the Sacramento Kings have to take seriously and monitor, especially with their young player. He was averaging 13.6 points, 5 assists. Really good player to have coming off your bench in fantasy basketball. Um, Again, if you had to pick up someone, there's Maxey is still out. Tyrese Maxey is still out there. Milton is out there. Um, Terrence Mann is still out there. So there are a few options. And again, I'll give you some more options later on in the week to help you plan for week 5. Now, obviously, one of the biggest injury is the King. LeBron James is out. Woo! He has missed 4 games already. Obviously, he has an ab strain. That sounds painful. When I hear ab strain, I'm like, oh, I'm grabbing my side already, like grabbing my stomach, like, ooh, that sounds painful. Whew, nonetheless, King James, he's out. Obviously, you're missing more than just points and rebounds if you're the Lakers, because obviously you need that leadership on the court, like their point guard. But for us, from a fantasy standpoint, this is someone who's capable of getting a triple double on any given night, damn near a double double every night too. So he can give you a double double always, and he definitely can give you a triple double on most nights if he want to. So that's 24.8 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 7 assists on the season. That's a lot of production, especially with some people who drafted LeBron high in the first round. I know he wasn't ranked in the top 5. He was in my top 5. I didn't pick him. I wasn't fortunate enough to pick that early in any of my fantasy basketball drafts. Nonetheless, yes, that is your top dog. When you lose your top dog, the first player that you draft in the first round, that really hurts your team. That is production that you simply will not be able to replace because that's the guy you picked in the first round. That's the guy, say you had a dynasty league and you were in a dynasty league and you had a dynasty team, you were building your team around LeBron James. Now you don't have your superstar. That's pretty much what the Lakers are dealing with, but they still have Anthony Davis and Westbrook. So for us, we don't have LeBron James anymore. So what do? We got to find some help on the waiver wire. Again, you're not going to find that same production because LeBron is obviously capable of doing a triple double. You're not going to find too many players in a league that's on waivers who are capable of getting a triple double or doing what LeBron does. But again, if you're in a points based league, half a loaf is better than no loaf, which means some points is better than no points. So you have to remember, get him out of your lineup. If you are in a league that has an IL slot, you place him in that slot. You do not release him. You just don't release him. I know that this injury is really hurting uh, Braun teams. All right, another player who is obviously a player that you drafted fairly high, Jimmy Butler. He left the game with an ankle injury. Obviously, ankle injuries are serious, especially for basketball players dealing with cutting and running and all of that stuff. Those ankle injuries can linger throughout the season. It's a situation that you want to monitor to see if he misses some time because he left the game early and didn't return. So you're going to have to kind of monitor that situation. Jimmy was doing Jimmy type things, giving great defense. He's a two-way player. He's averaging 25.3 points, 6 rebounds, 5.5 assists. Again, you need to monitor that situation to see if he spends some time on IL with this ankle injury. So we'll have to check in to see if this was a serious injury, which is going to place him on IL, or if it's just something that he may miss one game or not. Or maybe they took him out as a precautionary because he tweaked the ankle. We'll have to see. If you had Jimmy Butler, monitor that situation. Again, a player like Jimmy Butler, you drafted fairly high, most likely in the second round. Not a player that you can afford to lose, but nonetheless, if you did lose him, that's production you can't replace. Not only is he scoring the ball, giving you rebounds and assists, he's giving you steals and blocks as well because he is a two-way player. I love my two-way players. I don't know about y'all, but if y'all love them two-way players, make sure you hit that like button and leave some comments on some of those two-way players that you like. Jimmy Butler's definitely one of my favorites. Obviously, he played for the Bulls, so he's definitely one of my favorites. Anyways, again, if you have Jimmy Butler, monitor this situation closely because you don't want to have him in your starting lineup and he does not play because of the ankle injury. So that's a situation we definitely need to monitor. Colin Sexton, guard with the Cavaliers. It looks like he could be done for the season. Torn meniscus. One of those that you don't play with. You don't play with those knee injuries. It may be something where they can clean it up and come back before the season ends. Just have to see. There's no timetable for his return. He was averaging 16 points, 3.3 rebounds, and 2 assists. So pretty much for Sexton, if you have him, he's only going to give you points. He's only going to score the ball. May give you 3 rebounds here or there, but his value is just scoring the ball. He's not a player that I was starting. If I had him, he would be a player who's coming off my bench. If he was somebody that you had to rely on as a starter, that is a concern, and you needed to address that concern because I don't feel that he's someone who should be starting on your fantasy team. He should be someone you have coming off of your bench. But nonetheless, if you had him or have him, obviously Ricky Rubio would have been a great move to pick up. I know Ricky Rubio has been playing well all season, so he was already a player who was being picked up on waivers. Also, I recommended him a few times as a player to pick up, and now with Colin going to be out for an extended period of time, Rubio's obviously going to be even more appealing. So if you had Rubio and you didn't sell high on him, then you might as well keep him right now because Rubio was playing better than Sexton. So that should tell you all you need to know. Let's talk about DeAndre Ayton, center with the Suns. He is on IL with the bruised left leg. Sounds painful. Again, those leg injuries, especially with the bigs, gotta pay close attention to those injuries. He was averaging 14 points and 11.3 rebounds. He's giving you a very good high end double double, and he's shooting a high percentage from the field. So that is a player you really miss. I will be talking about some centers who can potentially help in the short term until he's able to return. Draymond Green, this is something to watch. He had a thigh contusion. Sounds painful. You get hit in those thighs. Yeah, those are painful. So Doesn't seem like it's going to be anything long term, but it's still something you should watch. He's one of those guys who's going to get you a low end triple double, maybe 10 points, 10 rebounds, 12, 13 assists. So he's going to get you double doubles automatically every night. And he's definitely going to get you triple doubles. He'll flirt with triple doubles on most nights as well. And that is obviously great points. That's a lot of points if you're getting someone who has a triple double, and say he may not even be your starter. Or if you did say, well, I know there's not a lot of centers in fantasy. However, I drafted him to be my starting center. He's still going to get you a double double, damn near triple double on most nights. So that is a lot of production that is being missed right now, right? We'll see if this is something that lingers and he misses some time. So this is something to monitor and check for. All right, let's talk about Brooke Lopez, center with the Bucks. He's on this list because he has been out with a sore back. He's missed 11 games. He's not one of those great centers right now who's going to wow you with his production. He's at a different stage in his career. Not even playing as many minutes, but nonetheless, he's still getting 8 points, 5 rebounds, 3 blocks, and he's capable of hitting a three. So it's a player that you most likely had coming off your bench because he shouldn't have been in your starter lineup. If you had him as one of your starters, that's scary. Nonetheless, still solid production off of your bench because it's going to get you between 19 and 22 fantasy points. That is a good player to have again because you still have to build your team, not only starters, you have to have a solid bench as well. Jacob Portal, center with the Spurs, having a career season, playing out his mind. He entered the health and safety protocol because of COVID. He's missed the last 4 games, having the best season again of his career, 13.9 points, 10.7 rebounds, shooting at a high percentage. Obviously, the Spurs miss him and they want him back as soon as he is eligible to return. Great production. If anyone took a chance on him, very, very pleased, I'm sure, with that selection. But nonetheless, he's going to miss quite a few more games. And hopefully he's able to come back when he's eligible to return and still play at that level. Now, Michael Porter Jr., forward with the Nuggets, has not played well this season. So for someone like me who drafted him in a league, I'm not really missing much because he wasn't giving me much. Anyways, I had high expectations for him this season, but he hasn't lived up to those expectations. There's no timetable for him to return. He's on IL right now with a back injury. Very scary because that was the issue with him in college and pretty much part of the reason missing the first season of his NBA career. Very scary, especially with no timetable for him to return. He was only scoring 19.9 points and 6.6 rebounds. So far, he has missed 2 games. The biggest thing is like you figure you drafted Porter Jr. with the expectation that he was going to take the next step, average 17 points. You're thinking, oh, he's going to hit 20, at least 20, 21 points. No, he went from 17. Now he's 9.9. He's just not having a good season. So does this really hurt your team? To me, your team was already hurting with Porter Jr. because he wasn't playing well and you probably drafted him high and had expectations of him taking the next step, and he hasn't taken that next step. He's going a few steps back. He's going way back. I mean, woo, he's going so far back you can't even see him anymore. So this is not a bad thing for you as a manager who has him on your team, because hopefully if he's able to return this season, maybe he will return and will play better. Nonetheless, wishing Porter Jr. a speedy recovery, and hopefully he's able to come back and play at a high level because he definitely is talented on the offensive side. Chris Middleton is out. He tested positive for COVID-19. He's missed 6 games. He's going to be out a few more games. He was averaging 20 points, 4.7 rebounds, 4.5 5 assists and 2 steals. You already know what you're getting with Middleton. Two-way player. Love the two-way players. He's going to hit threes. He's going to have those nights where you're like, why the hell did I draft Middleton? And he's going to have those nights where you're like, woo, I'm telling you, I did that right there when I drafted him. But most nights it's going to be that I did that right there. I'm glad as hell that I drafted him because he's really good, very, very good, skilled two-way player that the Bucks are missing right now. And hopefully he'll be able to return soon. Okay. Jaylen Brown, one of my favorites. Woo! If not my favorite two-way player, my favorite player on the Boston Celtics. I feel like he's the best player in Boston Celtics. That's in my opinion. That's because I have a higher value on two-way players. Nonetheless, he is on IL with a hamstring injury. He's missed the last 2 games. I hope he can get it together. Those hamstring injuries are nagging, tricky, annoying as hell. I just hope that everything will be all right with the hamstring injury and he's able to return. What you are going to be missing out on statistically is 25.6 points, 6.2 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.3 steals, blocks. He's a two-way player. That's what you're going to be missing out on, a two-way player. And those type of players, the two-way player, are great value in fantasy basketball. So if you have Jaylen Brown like I do, you're like, damn, you're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to replace that type of value. But you got to do what you got to do out here in these fantasy basketball streets, which is why you check out my video on Saturday, and I have some great players you should consider adding to help you. Joel Embiid, he is in the health and safety protocol for COVID-19. Obviously, the 76ers are struggling right now. Their best 3 players are out because Ben, he ain't in the building. He ain't been in the building. Then you got Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris both out in the health and safety protocol because of COVID, which is sucky for them. They're on a good roll right now. And if they're going to be out for an extended period of time, they definitely will lose that number 1 spot in the East because it's just hard to sustain where all of your best players are out. They're out. Okay. Steph Curry gonna have to lead the way, y'all. Right. But with Embiid, what are you missing? You're missing out on one of the best bigs in the game. Again, the center position is not as deep as other positions in fantasy basketball. So Embiid was averaging 21.4 points per game, 9.5 rebounds, and 4 assists and 1.4 blocks. So that's a lot of production you are missing out on. BJ Washington with the Hornets, he's playing the center and the forwards. Well, I don't know how the hell they played him at center, but I know this is positionless ball. But damn it, that's beyond positionless ball when you have him at the center spot. But nonetheless, he was averaging 9.9 points and 5.4 rebounds. He's missed the last 4 games with an elbow injury. Glad that they moved Washington to the bench. They've been on a bit of a losing streak. I don't feel like if Washington was there that would change. So to me, his impact is not as big as some of the other guys, but nonetheless, that is one of their guys off of their bench who is a part of the rotation. So that does hurt a bit. Seth Curry has a left foot contusion. He missed Tuesday's game against Toronto. Let's see if he misses some more time. Obviously, with Seth Curry, you know what you're going to get. He's going to hit threes. He's going to score points. He's averaging 16.8 points. That's pretty much what you're going to get from Seth Curry. He's going to hit threes, make some free throws. It's unfortunate. So some other key injuries that are not major, but you still want to be mindful of those injuries. Caris LeVert. He didn't play on Wednesday. He's dealing with a back injury, but it's a back-to-back. And that's pretty much why I'm thinking that he's out. So the first game of a back to back. And so I don't think this is anything major. I just feel like this is the Pacers being cautious with him, just returning from injury. Want to make sure that things are good and they're not just, putting him out there and allowing him to re-aggravate his back. So they're being cautious, which is smart. That's what you want to do. Nerlens Noel dealing with a sprained knee. Doesn't feel like this is going to be anything that's going to be long term, but nonetheless, it's something you should definitely check for. Pascal Sakin, he just returned this season, and I think that he sitting out because it was a back to back. Again, one of those where the Raptors are being cautious, kind of like with the Pacers, just being cautious, just returning this season, only played 2 games. Want to be cautious and make sure they're not overworking and they're working him back in to the game and not overdoing it because you don't want him to re-injure or re-aggravate that injury. Bogdanovich. Woo, I said that right, y'all. 2 points for the waiver wire queen. He's dealing with a right ankle injury. Did not play Tuesday. Let's see if he's going to be available tonight. Okay. And some players that just haven't played this season: Zion Williamson, foot; Victor Oladipo, knee; Kawhi Leonard, knee injury; Klay Thompson, Achilles. Hopefully he can return. Saying maybe before Christmas. Cannot wait to see Klay get back out there. Jamal Murray, knee. Cannot wait to see Murray get back out there because the Nuggets really need Murray. They are missing Jamal Murray. Okay. TJ Warren. Let's hope that he can get back before 2021 ends. Nonetheless, if not, maybe early 2022. He's been out for quite some time with that foot injury. Kobe White is starting to practice again. He is dealing with a left shoulder injury. He has not played yet this season. This is going to be a great addition to my Chicago Bulls because you know that we've lost Williams for the season. He's going to come back and be a nice spark plug off the bench for us. And Jonathan Isaac, knee injury, hasn't played yet this season. Hopefully he's able to return and play as good as he did last season. He was playing really good last season. And then, unfortunately, those injuries are part of the game and it will ruin your season. But nonetheless, wishing all of these guys a speedy recovery, mainly for their own health. And then also, hopefully, they can return to help us in our fantasy basketball journey because, health is wealth, and that's the most important thing. Availability is important. All right, y'all, make sure you hit the like button. Let me know some players that you have that are out due to injuries, and let me know some players that you will consider picking up to help you with those injuries. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you can see more videos like this. Again, I stress that subscribe to the channel to help the channel grow and so you can keep on getting great fantasy basketball content from the Waiver Wire Queen. All right, y'all, peace.